I
genre.
thought a
Oh,
quasi
okay.
Bach-like sequence would be the answer for a keyboard solo. And I just came up with...
Hi, everyone. Welcome to a special weekend focused on Deep Purple. And I guess it feels like it's been a while since I visited this band, although it's not a new band to me. My first exposure to the band came with Child in Time quite a good while back. And in fact, that was one of my early favorites in the rock music genre as I was getting this journey underway. It was one of the pieces that really stood out to me and became a high point in this journey. I still remember that experience. And I enjoyed it so much, eventually I came back to Deep Purple and explored the Concerto for Group and Orchestra, one of those movements. And I guess there was a more recent one too. It was a Portable Door, if I remember correctly. Anyway, so it's a band that I have wanted for quite some time to give a bit more attention to, and that is the reason for this special weekend. Today, I'm listening to their song called Highway Star, and I have a little bit to read about it, then we'll listen. Highway Star is the opening track on the band's sixth studio album, Machine Head, from 1972, and is the fastest tempo song on the album. The song was born on a tour bus going to Portsmouth in 1971, when a reporter asked the band how they wrote songs. To demonstrate, guitarist Ritchie Blackmore grabbed an acoustic guitar and began playing a riff consisting of a single G repeated over and over, while vocalist Ian Gillan improvised lyrics over the top. That reminds me of which Beatles song was it that I did recently that I made Vlad sit down and play because there was a single repeated G all the way through.
It's getting better.
It's getting better. Seems that Deep Purple has done a similar idea here. The song was refined and was performed that same night. Okay, so kind of a demo. How do you create a piece of music? Hand me the guitar. Let's get with it. G, 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 G. Okay, make up a tune, make up some lyrics. Let's get going. And pretty soon the creative juices are just flowing and everybody's making something together. And they perform it that night. What fun. Record World said of the US single release that this mover has a Led Zeppelin tint to it, and that could bring group back to the top of the pops. The most famous live version is featured on the 1972 live album Made in Japan. The Guardian said Blackmore's playing is like a force of nature on the Made in Japan version. Those slashing chords in the intro and that amazing solo featuring the distinctive neoclassical descending runs, combining the spirits of Bach and Jimi Hendrix. I like that. I like it because my first exposure to Jimi Hendrix, I guess I made the comment that his playing, even though it was completely not a Baroque style, there was something about his playing that made me feel much like some of Bach's music does, and that there is a depth to it and a profundity to it that really requires some time and attention to explore. So now we have combining the spirits of Bach and Jimi Hendrix here. This sounds like it's going to be a fun lesson. Let's see how it goes. There's that G.
Nobody gonna take my car. I'm gonna race into the ground.
Okay. A couple things. I remember how much I like Deep Purple. And there something about Deep Purple just hits the sweet spot as far as passion, energy, color, enough flamboyance, enough flair to really grab you and hold you, and yet it's not all fireworks. There's some real substance to it. It feels solid. It feels meaty, and they're so tight. They're so well built, so together as a group. I mean, what can I say? I guess I'm a Deep Purple fan. It also reminds me a bit of Queen's I'm in Love with My Car. It's that same sort of excitement and passion for a vehicle, a car. Well, if you know me, cars aren't really the thing that gets me all excited, although they really get Vlad excited if it's a really sweet car. Well, you'll have to ask him what sweet car is for him, but I can understand the way some people are with their cars and how passionate. This is such a great piece that way. I guess this was 1972, and I don't remember when Queen's was. After. Oh, somehow I thought it would be before. I thought maybe this was a inspired by Queen, but I guess maybe it was the other way around. Surely Queen must have known this. So I guess I'm going to have to look up the dates. Maybe go back to
74.
Okay. Well, I'm curious to know if there's any documentation of inspiration from this one. Might have to look it up. Anyway, let's keep going.
Yeah, she turns me on, all right, all the time. I'm a highway star.
Oh, yes, that's what else I wanted to say. I love this, the way the verse ends, where there's a bit of chromaticism. I'm a highway star. And as there's a sort of chromatic descent happening in the melody, then the instruments are kind of moving upwards. So there's a counterpoint, a contrary motion action, which really kind of does a great job of, well, you know how it is when you have a, let's say, a water hose flowing, and you tighten the nozzle till it's just a stream, and it shoots harder, and everything just compresses and becomes more intense just before it's cut off. It's kind of doing that with the music. You've got this great energy, and it really makes you sit on the edge of your seat, doesn't it? You feel like, let's go. I guess this is one of those pieces where I'd have to have cruise control on if I were listening to it as I'm driving down the road. I guess I understand why this is called Highway Star. But what was I saying? Oh, yes. The energy, which is really palpable through the entire verse. And then as we come to the end of the verse, they just manage to corral it all and bring it together, and not just cut it off, but pack it in there tight with that chromatic contrary motion activity just at the end there.
Yeah, she turns me on, all right, all the time. I'm a highway star.
Yeah, that's good. Great drums. that portion really made me feel like, and this might sound a bit crazy, but I think if you are familiar enough with this kind of music, not this kind of music, but I'm going to say in a moment, you will understand why I'm going to say this. That section really has a lot in common with some of Bach's organ toccatas. The sizzling energy and the intensity of it. There's sort of well, let's go back and listen to it again actually. It's just getting ready to take off here. And there's a tick, 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 which is great. So I guess it's see, who is it? Is it John Lord that plays the organ in this band? Did I get that right? Ah, yes. Okay. Vlad's giving me a thumbs up behind the camera. Sometimes I manage to get the right answer. Okay. So, John Lord, I hear him on the organ, but it's not just the organ that made me say that. It's the guitar and what's happening in the guitar. But the guitar gives that sort of fast finger work, almost keyboard-like. But there's also keyboard in there. No, there. Are you sure? Well, I know there's keyboard in there, but there's guitar too, isn't there? Yeah, that's my point. There's the organ keyboard. Sorry, I'm arguing with Vlad on camera. I don't know. What I'm hearing. Let's walk through this here. So there's this. Okay, that's what I'm listening to. I assumed that was guitar. To me, it sounds like guitar. And then the organ comes in. But I may be wrong because I know that you can make these organs do all sorts of noises just like you can make guitar do all sorts of sounds. So I'm not going to argue what it is, but to my ears, it sounds like a combination of guitar and organ. So I'm going to refer to that as guitar, just to differentiate from the sort of rounder, more mellow that comes in after that guitar melody gets us going there. So what I'm talking about is the way that what I'm calling guitar, it almost sounds a bit medieval, doesn't it? But as it gets going, you start thinking, oh, this could be a Bach organ toccata where finger work running down the keys and this really active, sizzling precision and energy. And then the way it blends with and collaborates with and gets even taken over. Let's listen to the rest of the way through, see if I'm remembering correctly. Taken over by the organ in this passage. The organ starts to shine more. But to my ears, it's both the organ and this guitar, what I'm calling guitar. Just kind of like, if you listen to a Baroque organ, any organ piece really, but something which involves different stops, meaning the different organ keyboards have different sonic qualities. Some can be more mellow. You can have one that's a little bit readier and brighter. And all of those different sounds are all, to me, organ sounds. And that's why I say here that it's not just the style. It's also the sonic design of it that makes me think Bach, Baroque, organ. Because these different layers and tonal qualities are all part of that image of what I am familiar with. That could totally be Bach. And here's again running down the keyboard and some guitar. So much happening. A little bit of pedal work down there. Organ pedals. A bit quirky, angular.
Nobody can
Here we go.
touch my head. I got speed inside my brain. Nobody can steal my head now that I'm on the road again. Oh, I'm having again. I got everything. Like a moving crowd, an open road and everything. I love it. I need it. I need it. It's in the soul mine. All right, hold tight. I'm a rock star. Nobody gonna take my car. I'm gonna race it.
Right. I guess I found another Deep Purple song that I really enjoy listening to. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but that guitar solo also, and I'm not saying this because it was mentioned in the opening paragraphs that I read. I'm not. I was a little bit dubious. Would I really think that? Because sometimes I read something in the paragraphs about, oh, it's classical or it's Bach inspired, whatever, and I'm like, okay, you could say that, but this is the kind of energy and power and at the same time grittiness, all there, all present, that to me is one of the things that I love about Bach's music. If you think of Bach as being, I don't know, all esoteric, brainy, highly intellectual, complex stuff that some people think of him as just too much to deal with. Or they pick his lighter, more approachable pieces and like say Prelude in C. Well, this one, this famous one, right? Right? This is not to my ears. Oh, Vlad says play a bit more. Yeah, you recognize it. You know that one. But this is not, well, that is certainly Bach. This is not, when I think of Bach, like what is the overall spirit of Bach? I would never choose that prelude to represent Bach's work. I could choose this piece of music as an example of much of what Bach represents. And maybe that sounds crazy. While I was listening to this guitar solo that's just passed, and I guess I'm going to back up and listen to it again, I'll tell you the associations and the cross-references that were happening in my mind. Well, let's back up and listen to it, and I'll walk you through it. Okay, this sounds good. This is nice. Sounds good. I was enjoying it. And now about here, I'm thinking, ooh, this could be Bach Chaconne on violin, or something similar where you don't have, well, on a stringed instrument like violin or cello or something, you don't have the full harmonic palette available to you instantly, or harp or organ. You only have 4 strings. And so if you listen to the chaconne played by a violinist, maybe I'll have Vlad put a link, you hear that many of the notes are passed by to get them in our ears, and then they're left hanging because there has to be other stuff added in, and so it's a masterful game of illusion, because you have to create the impression of all this harmonic movement, and notes that continue when they don't really actually continue. Well, it's not only challenging an art to write music like that, but it's also incredibly challenging to then apply that to your instrument and actually get it to come out sounding like it really makes sense. So as I'm listening to this, I'm thinking, okay, these arpeggios, this yada da da da. It's suddenly no longer just arpeggios, yada da da da. I'm starting to hear this sort of harmonic progression. A little bit of melody here, and then the harmony again. And now, blending harmony with a couple melody notes. More melody. Oh, some really fingered. And this is like some really, again, something really virtuosic, active. It wouldn't have to be Bach, but so much of this sends me that direction. I'm going to say more Bach than, say, Paganini, because just for the sake of consistency. But you start to dance. You start to feel like, and then the intensity builds. And you start thinking of things like the Brandenburg Concerti, or the 48 Preludes and Fugues, some of the fast stuff, some of the inventions. Back to this. Okay, so we haven't left that. It's just a great blend of so many things that are reminiscent of a lot of the stuff that Bach did, and in a really satisfying way. And then here comes the voice again. I could imagine this solo going on and becoming a complete musical movement standing on its own. It could totally work that way. But instead we come back to the fact that, oh, this is a song. There is another verse. We're talking song format. Verse, solo, bridge, whatever you want to call it, some instrumental break, verse, solo. Oh, yeah. By the way, it's still a song. We have a verse to listen to.
Hey, not only that, but it's just a demo of how we write songs.
Oh, yes, that too.
Nobody gonna take my car, I'm gonna race it to the ground. Nobody gonna beat my car.
Nobody gonna beat my car.
Oh, it's a killing machine. It's got everything. Like a driving car, big fat tires and everything. I love it, and I need it. I believe it. Yeah, it's a man hurricane. All right, hold tight. I'm on my way.
And again, just crush it. And when you're driving at that speed, it takes that long to step on the brakes and come to a full stop. I'm going to say this sounds really solidly rock genre. I don't think that it's something that would be classified as progressive rock. I haven't listened to enough specifically progressive rock to really be able to say one or the other. But my reason for bringing that up is maybe some of you will be a bit surprised at the assertions I've made, statements I've made in this first listen, how immediately and greatly I enjoyed this piece of music, how incredibly satisfying the Deep Purple sound and style is to me as a classical musician. Some of you won't be shocked because you've been around, you've followed my journey long enough, you start to get an idea of my taste and what really appeals to me. But some of you might be thinking, oh, I never expected this. From a harpist? Going for Deep Purple Highway Star? A song about crazy fast cars? Basically, I'm in love with my car. And I know that some of you have also been surprised at how perhaps unimpressed I am with some of the more classically influenced or classical sounding rock pieces that I've listened to along the way. And you've been kind of deflated thinking, I thought you would like that. It has classical instruments in it and it has the classical sound that you like. Look, I am not looking for a remake of the classical music experience. I'm not. I am perfectly okay discovering and enjoying music that is mixed and crosses over and all of that. But it doesn't have to be classical to really work. And I love the fact that this is so not classical, so solidly rock. At least to my ears. Because I feel like it's a great moment to say there is incredibly good music in practically any genre. it's not the genre itself, but it is how well the music is constructed. And this is a song. This is a song. This is not a symphony. This is not a concerto. In fact, I guess I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed the concerto for group and orchestra, although that was interesting and enjoyable. I feel like this is a better piece of music. It has more, well, it holds together. It's tighter. It's better balanced. Oh, we have a moth in here. That's okay. And while I do say that this has a lot that I find in common with what I love about Bach's music as a classical musician, as somebody who has lived my life steeped in the classical, or let's be more precise, the Western art tradition, with plenty of Bach, and both before and after him in the whole stream of artistic musical creativity. I'm not saying that this is Bach. I'm saying that this has so much in it that is, in many ways, on the same footing as Bach. And I find it incredibly enjoyable and satisfying. As I said, turns out I'm a deep purple fan, huh? And, well, I'm glad I'm finally sitting down to listen to more of their music. I have no idea what's coming tomorrow, but this is a special weekend, so there will be another Deep Purple first listen tomorrow, and find out what it is when it comes. I'll see you soon.